Good afternoon, everyone. We'll just wait for a few more seconds for everyone to come in this informative and interactive webinar that we have set for you today. Some general housekeeping items. This is a recorded webinar, so in case if you have to step out, answer a phone call, don't worry, all participants will be receiving today's presentation along with the recording from our YouTube channel, so strongly encourage you to like and subscribe. Also, this is a good opportunity for you to introduce yourself, what type of business you have, what type of industry you're in, as we'll be able to present some examples that will be definitely beneficial for your business needs. And if you have any particular questions, strongly encourage you to put them in the Q&A. So like that, throughout today's webinar, we'll be more than happy to send you the, we'll be able to moderate those questions on your behalf. So allow me to introduce you to our Regional Director, Brian Van Hook from the Florida SBDC at FIU under the FIU College of Business. So Brian, the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. As Jesus mentioned, my name is Brian Van Hook, and I'm the Regional Director of the Small Business Development Center at FIU's College of Business. We are located in Miami-Dade in the Florida Keys. So if we have a great team of consultants, if we can help you in any way, feel free to reach out. And we are actually doing this webinar on a very important topic for businesses, focused on disaster preparedness, disaster recovery, disaster business continuity. I know it's, as we're recording the webinar, it's raining a lot here in Miami, so in South Florida. So we're really kind of mindful of, hurricane season, of disasters. And so we're here today to give you some tips on how to be better prepared on your business. Who is this guy talking to you? What do I know? I've been with Florida SBDC at FIU since 2014. Prior to that, I worked for 10 years in Washington, D.C., both at the U.S. Department of Commerce and the United States Senate. Particular to this topic, I have over 20 years of experience working on small business recovery, disaster preparedness, economic development. So worked on this topic in particular, worked on such disasters as Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Rita, Midwest tornadoes, Hurricane Sandy, obviously the pandemic, Zika, a lot of other disasters have impacted us. And actually the picture right there was from the BP oil spill, where we were flying to go meet with businesses impacted by the oil spill. So just have a lot of really good experience relative to this topic. So happy to share that with you. SBDC at FIU, as we mentioned, we're focused on helping businesses to start, grow, and succeed in Miami-Dade and Monroe County. We're really proud of the outcomes and the impacts that we have for local businesses, and we did include those impacts up there that you can see. And we're also very proud that last year, out of 1,000 SBDCs around the country, we were named as the National SBDC of the Year. So we're really proud to get that national recognition, not just for our team that works really hard day in, day out, but also recognition of the work that we do with businesses like you. So definitely reach out to us and sign up if we can help you in any way. And then importantly, I just want to emphasize our team. We have a total of 27 consultants on various programs. We have 20 consultants specifically on SBDC. So this is our Miami-Dade County team. And this is our team that's based in the Keys. We have 4 consultants based all the way from Key West up to Key Largo in the Florida Keys. And then what are you going to learn about today? Today, you're going to learn about how you can incorporate pandemic planning into your overall disaster planning, also business continuity planning. You want to understand the risks that are unique to your business. You're going to identify operations and personnel that are going to be important to your recovery efforts. And then I'm not going to let you leave without giving you important resources and information that you can kind of jumpstart your planning. And then as we get into it, we're going to talk about business resilience. We're going to talk about business continuity. Business resilience incorporates a lot of things. That's risk management, contingency planning, emergency preparedness, disaster recovery planning, specifically focused on your IT, and also succession planning, which is something that a lot of businesses don't focus on, specific to key personnel on your team. What happens if, unfortunately, somebody passes away or somebody that's a key member of your team finds a better job? You do need to prepare in terms of your operations, that you have redundancies and that you can kind of like not miss a beat if somebody leaves, because is happening more and more based on the job market. And the message I want to give you is that you could do a full business continuity plan, you could do a disaster recovery plan, you could just do some checklists, anything that you can do, especially anything you can do today, it's going to make you more prepared for something that can happen tomorrow. So I like to put up this photo because this is what everybody thinks about when they think about a disaster. This is Hurricane Katrina. This is 2005, Lower Ninth Ward. So this is like massive hurricane damage that all businesses are like, I don't need to worry about anything until it's hurricane season. But we're here today to tell you actually business interruptions are the things that really hurt businesses as well and could really be the business killer. This is road construction. You know, whether you're in Miami-Dade, whether you're in North Dade, South Dade, the Florida Keys, road construction is something that really hurts businesses, especially if you're retail, restaurants, because you're going to impact your operations, your client flow, you know, how you're going to get the business. And that could close down your business for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Same thing with internet issues, same thing with a cyber attack. Any of those type of things can disrupt your operation. So I don't want you to think about disaster just as a hurricane. I want you to think about it more globally as business continuity and business interruptions, because those are the things that really impact businesses. I like to put up this timeline just to show you these are a bunch of different things that come up. You know, you can see every couple of years there's a hurricane, but you do have other disasters that would not be traditional. Oklahoma City bombing, World Trade Center, the BP oil spill, Zika, COVID-19. Those are all things that pop up that nobody was really planning for. So I just want to kind of reiterate, be prepared for your business for these big disasters, but also like things like we talked about, you know, internet issues, construction, those type of things. And then I just put up these stats just to show you that businesses really have a difficulty on the small business side in terms of hurting the businesses. Because if you're like Sony, if you're, you know, Target, those type of things, you can weather a cyber attack. You know, you have funding, you know, those type of things. But for small businesses, $3,000 a day, you know, $20,000 a month, those type of things, those really impact your bottom line and your business. Also, just want to reiterate about insurance. We're going to talk a little bit about insurance at the end, but don't think just because you have insurance that you're covered, because insurance doesn't cover everything, and it's not going to replace your lost customers, or it's not going to cover all losses. So you really need to be prepared to be a little more self-reliant for a lot of the different operations. And then when we talk about business continuity, there's a lot of stuff that's on the left side that is more kind of like abstract in terms of the loss of trust with your customers, loss of reputation in your market or your industry, loss of your brand image if you have it. Think about things like Target, you know, different breaches. Basically, that's breaching the customer trust. So businesses might be less inclined to work with that company or buy from that company if they know that they're not on top of their cybersecurity, if they have things that they did that were sketchy. So those are things that can impact your bottom line. On the right side, we basically have things like loss of customers in hiking up your insurance, loss of any contracts that you have, legal fees, fines. Those are more like monetary impacts of business interruption, business continuity, cybersecurity. So that just kind of shows you how it impacts your bottom line. I'm here today to talk to you about how actually business continuity can be good for your business. It can give you a competitive advantage, mainly because if you're down, any delays, you could lose your customers to a competitor. And also, if you have a larger business that you're working with or federal, state, and local contractors, you need to know that preparedness is important to you and your business for those larger suppliers or agencies that you're servicing. So you definitely want to be prepared in that respect. And then it's the elephant in the room, but if we're talking about business continuity, I have to talk about pandemic planning. Basically, pandemics have always been part of the discussion on business continuity and disaster preparedness. It was something we would glance over. We would say, look, we haven't really had a major pandemic. You don't really need to worry about that. Well, we've been through it, and now you need to. So things that you need to factor in is definitely strengthening e-commerce, direct-to-consumer sales if you can. Those are the businesses that did not see major disruptions during COVID, versus the businesses that were just relying on like traditional brick and mortar sales. So those are things that you can factor in now and makes your business stronger on a lot of different levels. Also your marketing strategy. When you have a one size fits all marketing strategy, if you're operating in different localities, different areas, it needs to be more tailored for those particular areas because some areas might be shut down, some areas might not. So you don't want to have like delays or additional cost on that if you kind of do just a cookie cutter marketing strategy. I would include up there basically federal guidance for pandemics and COVID-19 from the CDC. It's good information. That's stuff that you can access now and kind of be prepared. But those are things you should pay attention to because now we've had a pandemic. It could be something that can impact you. Also, the toughest thing during COVID was when businesses had to like identify what is federal government guidance, what is state government guidance, what is county, what is cities, specific industries. The good thing is now all that stuff is posted, so you can actually go up and you can download it. So now you know the rules of the road if we do have another pandemic. So I would definitely encourage you, while things are slow, while you're thinking about it, to download, review, save any plans and guidance that are relative to you. That way you know it if there is a future pandemic. And like I said, just being prepared. That's an important thing. I did include some of the different guidance and information up here. So just including that here in case you need stuff from FEMA, the CDC. And we also will send you a copy of the presentation afterwards so that you can actually have access to some of these links. And then let's get back into business continuity. So like I mentioned about insurance, basically not going to replace all your customers, not going to replace all your losses. Traditionally don't shop around for insurance. They don't take advantage of those free risk assessments. They don't ask any questions of their agent. Some key questions you can ask is what type of losses are excluded under your policy? Are there any policies that might be relevant to your business? Do you have or do you need a peak season endorsement on your inventory? Would a blanket policy for multiple locations be helpful to you? Basically, most people just sign it. They basically just move on from year to year. They don't really ask for any updates, although there might be changes to your business. Some basic other questions you can ask is, would you be eligible for a business owner's policy? What's your deductible? How does it apply? Do you have co-payment? And then basically around personal property and building coverage, factoring in basically replacement costs versus actual cash value. Um, we are going to provide you with some good checklists and do's and don'ts, but we definitely encourage you to ask questions. Never hurts, and actually you're paying, for that insurance, so you basically need to get your money's worth from it. And then, like I mentioned, there's a lot of really good checklists. I did mostly put up the ones from NFIB, National Federation of Independent Business. They just had really great sections on insurance. So it does talk about like specialty insurance, essential types of insurance, kind of do's and don'ts, those type of things. So we did include those up here. And then I'm not going to sit here and claim that I know your business better than you. You are the expert on your business. So you know your business, you know your location, you know your employees. So those are type of things that you can just ask yourself some basic questions. Have you done a risk assessment on what risks are more likely to impact your business? You're not going to get impacted by a volcano. You're not going to have a tornado if you're here in South Florida. You might if you're a little bit farther north. You basically, not going to have like an ice storm. Those are type of things you can rule out. You can really focus on those particular risks that are going to impact your particular business. You can actually do a tabletop exercise. You can get it. We have a tabletop exercise we can share with you. There are other ones that are available, but you could just have like, call some pizzas in on a summer Friday and just sit down with your team and just go over like, what will we do in this situation? It's a good way for you to like act out your response plan and find any things that you can improve. Also very basic is, have you actually done a physical inspection of your business? Have you walked around, look at the ceiling, look at your equipment, look at the doors, any preparations that you had, check out the roof. Just do a walk around and basically make a note, take any photos you need to take. Um, because a lot of people do forget about that. We'll talk about photos later, but they forget about having like up-to-date photos so that you can show insurance or the Small Business Administration, those type of things. And then for your business, you really need to think about what makes it run. Who runs your business? What does it run? Where does it run? How does it run? When you're doing that, you're kind of drilling down more into like what's a critical, what's important, what's non-essential. Because we all know from the pandemic, we all know from hurricanes, if something is non-essential, you're not worrying about that. You're worrying about things that are critical to keep you and your employees on payroll and keep things rolling, and keep revenue coming into your business. So you do need to think about those interruptions. For any business continuity plan or any kind of recovery, you do factor it in basically in terms of like 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So you do need to think about those type of functions and like how long can you have those down? You know, some things you could have it down for a week. Some things you can only have it down for 24 hours. You need to think about those type of things in terms of those critical functions. For your business, we do also really stress to like focus on your supply chain. So focus on your suppliers that are upstream, focus on you and your employees kind of like in the business, and then obviously downstream focusing on your customers. And then we'll kind of get into some of those different aspects in these slides. Big believer, your front line's your bottom line. If you don't have your employees, you're not going to have a business. So basically you need your employees to run. Um, you need to have up-to-date contact information for those employees. Uh, people's life events. People get a new cell phone. They upgrade to the latest one. Maybe they change their phone number. People move addresses. Really happy event. People get married. Really sad event. People get divorced. So you need to have up-to-date emergency contacts in case you're trying to contact somebody. You need to have alternate means of communication. So that's like company email, personal email, cell phone. A lot of groups use like WhatsApp or Telegram or other types of things. Those are different things that you can use to stay in touch. A lot of times they'll work without internet or with very minimal internet or over cell phone service. So those are different ways to do it, but you definitely need to have like an all of the above approach. Email your company email, you know, call their cell phone, send them a text, those type of things. Send it to like a group chat. Also for your team, people are going to have special skills, certifications, whether that's like military training, medical skills. You need to identify those if you do have a disaster or a business interruption. Things like first aid, CPR, military training comes into play if you have, unfortunately, like an active shooter situation. Maybe you might want to know somebody who can kind of lead the team in that respect. What you do also want to do is a lot of businesses just focus on the business continuity plan. They don't focus on the employees and their personal disaster plan. But that is kind of walking a business through, employee through. Are you going to shelter in place? Are you going to go to Orlando with your family? Kind of thinking through those type of things before a hurricane comes. So you also helps you on the recovery side, knowing who is going to be close by to be able to go and do a visual inspection of your business when conditions improve. Who can you not count on? Those are the type of things you really need to know. Like an example is, if you have folks that have children, folks that have pets, elderly relatives, elderly neighbors, those folks are more likely to shelter in place, or they might need to think through going to a shelter that allows pets. So those are things that are helpful to think about ahead of time so that they know as soon as something's coming, they say, okay, we're going to go to this place in Doral, or we're going to go to this place in, up north. You need to know those type of things just so you can do like a check down to make sure you know where everybody's at. And then, like I said, you need to plan both for your personal recovery and your business's recovery, because you can't recover if you're worried about your house, if you're worried about your employees. So you need to factor that into your business recovery. Also we talked about suppliers and contractors. You want to have current vendor information. You want to have primary and alternate contacts. Basic things like having your account number. So if you're calling them to check on something, you actually have like actionable information. You do want to know, do they have a business continuity plan? Do they have preparations in place that could impact you if they're down for weeks or months? In that case, you might want to have an alternate supplier. We do talk about geographic diversity. So having a supplier that's maybe in Texas, maybe somebody that's in the Northeast. So they might not be impacted by the same disaster that you're impacted by. So you do want to have like some different considerations on those different suppliers so that you could basically keep things going. And then having periodic orders so that you're maintaining that active status. For customers, you want to identify the likelihood that customers are going to be present in your business if something happens. You need to make those type of preparations in the business. You want to keep your communications open with your customers. Definitely monitor the internet and social media. So if something is relevant to you, it's going to be relevant to your customers. So it is good to share that on social media, notifying maybe you're closed for the hurricane or you're closed for construction or something, but you will be back open on this date. Or if people can go to your website and order while your business is physically down. Those are things that you can kind of keep business going. And then we do encourage you, keep a copy of your customer records like offsite or in the cloud, just as something like hits your particular physical business. You're not missing that type of really important information. And then now, with Zoom, now with basically, everybody having worked during the pandemic, it does help to have those alternate work sites or availability to work from home, so that people can keep the business going. Well, we do talk about different other contacts you should have. The best acronym I've seen out there is BAIL, bankers, accountants, insurance agents, and lawyers. There probably are other contacts you can use as well, but in regards to disasters, those are the key ones. Basically your bank, your accountant, your insurance agent, your lawyer. Those are things that folks that you definitely need to be in touch with. For particular preparations, you do need to focus on two things. You need to focus on having like a business box that includes insurance policies, your lease, inventory list, payroll records, bank statements, tax returns. Those are type of things that you can also have backed up in the cloud, but there might be things that you need like physical copies of. Also, a go bag is more like about the emergency critical things in terms of like first aid kit, cell phone charger, a battery operated radio, battery operated fan. We're all in South Florida, so we're used to having the fans and the radios available. Bottled water, flashlight, and batteries. Those are just very basic things to have, but just an emergency, like if you need to run out the door right now, you got that ready to go. And I would emphasize the cell phone charger. If you know how many times people would get out and have everything ready to go, but they don't have a cell phone charger. So you do need to think about something you can plug in the wall, also something you can plug into your car. So just have that like backup. In terms of your records, you want to identify records that are important to you to like keep those functions running. You want to have multiple copies of any of those records, stored in the cloud, back it up somewhere. You want to regularly back it up. If you know how many times we've had businesses that were proactive and did have a backup copy of particular records they needed or data, but they hadn't saved it in the last 2 months or the last 3 months. So it really wasn't as helpful to them because it didn't have all the information they needed. So definitely like back it up, date it based on like the last date that you updated the file. And then we talked about it previously, was you want to have photographic records of your fixtures, your furnishings, your inventory, your equipment, your building. That's going to come into play when you go in for insurance or if you go for disaster loans from the Small Business Administration, because they want to see something wasn't completely trashed like pre-disaster and that it was in good working order. And then you obviously take your pictures after the disaster to show what the damage is. But that's really important to have that because most businesses don't think about like having those different photos to have for insurance purposes. So those are things that you want to definitely do. Those are things that you, like I said, you can do it now to help you out later on. And then just your critical operations, it could be different depending on your business, but there might be payroll, communications, accounts receivable, insurance claims, any utilities, your IT support. Those are things depending on the nature of your business that you need to factor in as those critical operations. Also really would emphasize access to your building. That is something that is a challenge for businesses if they're in a commercial space and they're renting, is kind of knowing what's the procedure to get access back into a building. And there are some things actually you can do, like if you're part of the ESF 18 for Miami-Dade County or in the Keys, those are sometimes things that you can get a letter that you are kind of like important, that you are important business to recovery, and so you need to get back into your building, or having like a basic letter that you can use to show your building folks that you are authorized on behalf of the business to get in. I do want to highlight regulatory requirements. The best example is about health records. We've all heard about those breaches or where people misplace information related to health, but HIPAA, if you do work with any patient records, HIPAA is a four-letter word because it basically, in a good way, basically safeguards that medical information for patients and make sure that it's confidential, that there's not folks just accessing it, and then it's also available when it's needed. But I would again stress it's protected health information. And you have to comply with those standards. That's data security, that's business continuity. So you got to back it up. You got to have a business continuity plan. You have to have some operations to make sure that you're not going to lose that information. There's been huge fines for that, where people have misplaced the information or there's been a data breach. So you really, really, really want to stress um, focusing on the business continuity and backing it up and cybersecurity if you do anything with patient records. And then I really would like to highlight for us, we're not territorial. So our team can help you if you are looking to get smarter and to get some good materials put together on business continuity. But would really stress there are other organizations in the community as well. There's other resources out there. If you don't have time for like a huge 30-page or 40-page business continuity plan, there are ones that you can do that's like a mini business continuity plan that includes like different checklists or different templates. So I did include two of them up there. One is from the city of Santa Monica in California. The other one is from disastersafety.org, where they're just kind of like really mini plans with like things that you can put in. If they're 5 pages, if they're 10 pages, I'd be surprised. But it's just a couple of pages for you to just put together and have something to kind of jumpstart your disaster planning. Also do want to mention in terms of climate change, climate resilience, just like the pandemic, that is something you need to factor into your business. Um, as with other suggestions we made during this presentation, there are very small things you can do today that can make a difference tomorrow. So I did include some really good resources that we found from them. Actually, ironically, they're not from like an area you would think would be kind of the epicenter of climate change, but the state of Rhode Island actually has really good climate change resources for small businesses. So I did include the link up there. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation has tons of really good information on business continuity, disaster resiliency. And then the really random one that I found was the town of Lincoln in Ontario, Canada. They have a really good climate change business resilience toolkit. And like I said, I don't think that that one's more than 20 pages, but really focused on like checklists, kind of like step-by-step information, just really good information that you can access and you can save it and you can kind of make it your own. So we really would encourage you regarding climate resilience to basically take some steps on that because it is something that businesses need to pay attention to, not just because South Florida, we're close to the coast, but there are other impacts from climate change related to precipitation, too much precipitation, not enough precipitation, temperature changes, those type of things. Those are things that need to be factored in moving forward. And then, like I said, I want to give you really good information and resources. So I am including apps up here. So there are a couple of apps that you can get ranging from Gas Buddy to find gas stations. Ready Miami-Dade is a good mobile app that has good information if you're in Miami-Dade County. FEMA has tons of apps. Also the Red Cross. So those are kind of like the standard go-to ones. Would mention a couple other ones like emergency radio. hurricane tracker, storm radar. Storm radars from the Weather Channel. So those are ones that are good apps for you to get on your phone. In regards to other business resources, standard website is like the FEMA website, ready.gov. They have good information for businesses. The Florida Division of Emergency Management has like a business section. And then the Small Business Administration does have like a ton of information on small business preparedness as well. And then more specific is there is a Florida disaster website geared towards small businesses. Miami-Dade County also has a hurricane guide. It's good for personal disaster planning as well as business continuity planning. And then Monroe County also has a really good website geared towards the Keys, and also would encourage you to check out, they have like Ready Monroe, which is a list you can sign up to that I think you get text alerts and information. So not necessarily an app, but it is a really good information to get alerts from the sheriff's office, from the county, those type of things, like really good updates. And then I will leave up the QR code real quick. Would encourage you to scan the QR code if you would like to meet with a consultant on this or any other topic. We are definitely here to assist you in multiple different ways. And then we encourage you to follow us on social media. So there's our website, there's our different handles. We're on all the different channels from IG, from X, from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Definitely check us out. We're happy to share resources with you. And then I'm going to stop sharing so I can see if there is any questions from you guys. But really just want to thank you for your time today, and would ask Jesus and Lauren if there is any questions in the chat. Not seeing anything.
At this present moment, no. But once again, this is a recorded webinar, so all participants will be receiving today's presentation and also the recording from our YouTube channel as well. And then also in the chat, if you're interested to meet with a business consultant, strongly encourage you to register for consultation so that we'll be able to address the business needs and connect you with the appropriate consultant. And then in the chat, I'm also going to put my email address as well. So in case if you have any particular questions, throughout the day or whatnot, we're family. So any way that we can do to help you out, it'll be my pleasure to assist you.
Yeah. So we just encourage the folks that were able to attend. We will send you a copy of the presentation afterwards for those that did attend. And then we also will upload a copy of this webinar on our YouTube page as well, so folks can watch it later on as well. And just I really thank everybody for taking the time to be better prepared. And we really wish you guys good luck during hurricane season. We're hoping that we're all better prepared and that it's not as bad as everyone's saying. So, but you don't know that. So you got to get prepared. So you're taking that step today by being in the webinar. So just thanks again and have a good rest of your week.
Take care, everyone.